Yo, what's up, everybody? My name is Sean Brooks, creative director of Brooks Media, and today I'll be giving you guys my full review of the 42.5 f1.7 on the GH5. Let's get into the video. Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Sean Brooks. I'm a videographer based in Chicago. Just trying to give you filmmaking tips, camera reviews, you name anything about our camera. That's what this channel does. If you also want to see some more of my work, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. You can also check out my website, www.brooksmedia.com. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Now, the first thing we'll be going over about with this lens is going to be the price. Now, with this lens, you can currently get this lens brand new for like around 400 bucks, but I went to Adorama. No, actually I went to MPB or MPB or MBP. I tend to forget, whatever, that website. I got it for 250. So the question is, for 250 bucks, is this lens worth it? Now, I'm gonna be real. For 250, I'm gonna say yes, but for 400, that's kind of a different story, because for 400 bucks, you can kind of go ahead and get yourself like a Sigma lens, a 56 mil, for around that same price. So would I pay 400 brand new for this lens, and I know I can get the same Sigma, I can get that Sigma lens with the lower f-stop and a longer focal length? I probably would have got Sigma if I had to come down to the two, but that's because I'm a Sigma fanboy though. Just being real, I love Sigma glass. So the price is a little bit based on your perspective. If you don't mind paying 400 for this lens brand new, then go right ahead if you don't care for Sigma glass. But I really do feel like if you can find this lens used like around between 2 to 250, it's a definite pickup. It's a great portrait lens. And later on down the video, we kind of talk about why this lens is great, obviously, you know, further into the review. So now that we got the price covered, let's talk about the actual build quality of the lens. Now the lens is all metal, which is dope. Again, for the price point, you know what I'm saying, you expect some type of sturdy build, and it feels really good in the hand. I will give it that. The glass looks good, and it's kind of like I overall like the actual form factor of this lens, because it's so small, but it's kind of like a tiny thing that packs a big punch. So I like that about this lens. Again, for those who don't know, the 42.5 is the equivalent of an 85 mil on a GH5 or a Micro Four Third system, just in case you forgot. Now, here's the thing that I'm not particularly fond of, and I see reviews of this, and at first I'm like, they kind of like tripping, you know what I mean? But now after further use of the lens and kind of like using it more and more in the hand, the focus ring could be a little bit smoother. Now, the problem with this is the fact that Panasonic, they continue to use a focus by wire system, so it's not like, so a focus by wire means you just gotta pretty much keep infinitely turning, there's no stop. So you just keep turning, there's no stopping point to let you know when you're like at the end or when you're at infinity. So I kind of don't, you know what I'm saying, like that's one gripe, but honestly too, it could just be a little bit smoother. Like you can even hear it. Like you can kind of hear how rough it is almost a little bit. Again, for what I paid for it, I mean, and don't get me wrong, it has its smooth moments, but I just wish it's a little bit smoother in comparison to something like the Sigma 16 mil that I'm currently shooting on. That is really, really smooth. And that's what I kind of mean when I'm going back to the price. Again, I would not purchase this lens brand new for 400 bucks. I'm just being real. Not for 400. For 400, I know I can get something a little bit more of a higher quality, better build. Then on top of that, the lens is not weather sealed, which the Sigma 56 mil is. So, you know, that kind of came down to like a lot of determining factors for me. But this lens does have OIS, so if you do have a GH5, you can use dual IS with it. It will pop up on your screen, so that's great. So especially for handheld shots, or if you're trying to get like some really good for handheld shots and handheld photos. So dual IS with this lens, definitely, you know what I'm saying, definitely worth the price of admission of $250. So gotta keep saying that. All right, so I know you guys are probably wondering what is going on right now. Why is that different scenery, different location? I'm still in the crib. It's just that it's too noisy in the living room right now, and I forgot to record something, and this is very important. So the thing that I forgot to record is to talk about autofocus with that lens. Now, the autofocus on this lens with the GH5 is it's workable, it's usable. Now here's the thing. I know a lot of people who have a GH5 always say like, yo, or people on YouTube say, yo, the GH5 autofocus is trash and I use it. I use my autofocus and I use it often. So that I did in my daytime testing, autofocus worked just fine, but also I want to mention in review. So here's the thing about autofocus, specifically with contrast-based autofocus systems. And I got the information from Jared O'Dunn on my own little research too. So the way contrast-based works, especially if you have a Panasonic lens, the GH5 works better because because what happens is when you're using a Panasonic lens, the GH5 is reading information off that lens and remembers in which areas it detected the contrast and which one I need to pull focus in. So what you'll notice is sometimes when you're doing autofocus the GH5, you may put your camera on one subject and bounce back to it, and the first time the autofocus went as fast, but the second time you do it, you notice a little bit faster in each and every time, and that's because it's almost like contrast based. It's almost like a little bit of machine learning in a sense. It's just that the way the sensor reads the data off the lens, it makes it easier to remember what they need to bring in focus if you go back to that same subject. So with that being said, the autofocus on the 42.5 f1.7 with the GH5 works as good as I need it to work. Do I recommend that you use autofocus? Yeah, I would definitely recommend that you use it. I usually stick to one area autofocus, or if I'm doing talking vlogs like this, which you would not want to use an 85 on a talking vlog, but you could just lock the autofocus and you would never get the post in the back, like you're not getting post in the background. So now that we cover price and build, let's kind of talk about how it looks as far as like the overall sharpness of this lens by taking a couple look at some photos real quick. Now the thing about an 85 equivalent lens, you guys gotta remember there's a decent amount of compression and a decent amount of bokeh that you can get out of this lens, but you have to be very careful when you are shooting specific shots, because if you are a little bit too close and it's compressed, you know what I'm saying, you're gonna get kind of like a blurry thing where you only may get like either the side of somebody's face and their nose just might pop out, or if you're taking a picture of something like text or like even a battery perhaps in this particular shot that you're seeing, you would notice like the front part words of the text are like in focus, but the other half of the battery is not. So you have to be very careful when you're taking pictures with this lens, with any 85mm equivalent to be exact, but just something I kind of keep in mind. Now what I did notice, this lens is pretty much at its sharpest between, and just from my test, it seemed like this lens is like really tack sharp at f6.3. f1.7 came like it's sharp, but it's not as sharp as it could be. It can get the job done, but I'm just noticing like an f6.3, f6ish, you pretty good with the sharpness. So the lens is definitely sharp. I wish it was sharper obviously at its lowest aperture, but at the same token too, a lot of lenses are not as sharp as at its lowest aperture, but it can get the job done. And plus, that's not something I already concern myself with too much, because when you add a photo into Lightroom, you can just add sharpness back to it. So you know what I'm saying, like that's a little bit more so based on your perspective. I feel like sharpness is a thing I feel like is a matter of perspective with your eyes and maybe a couple of various tests, but at the end of the day, you can add or subtract how much sharpness you want in a photo in the first place. So whatever. It's kind of, and that's kind of leading me to a segue to something else when it comes to photos or just photographer's opinion. Now, at the end of the day, yes, I'm reviewing the lens to kind of give you guys a general idea of what this lens can do and the overall performance of it. But at the end of the day, when it comes to photos or video, it's all based on perspective. So if I show you this, if I show you a picture at, you know what I'm saying, at f5, but you take a look at a picture f3.5, you're like, hey, this looks sharper to me. Well, that's your eye. You see what I'm saying? So it's more so based off my perspective and just a couple of various tests that I did. But at the end of the day, you have the ability to change and to increase or decrease how much sharpness you want in a photo or contrast, whatever the case is. When you're shooting it raw, it really kind of avoids a lot of stuff. So just as I want to add in. Now, moving on to actual footage of this lens. Now, if you guys didn't see, I did a nighttime footage and I did a daytime footage. The daytime was more sort of first impressions. The nighttime was actually breaking down like how it looks in ISO, certain ISOs, and just how it looks overall in low light. And what I can say, honestly, especially on a gimbal, this lens performs really, really well. Even in handheld shots, the footage looks remarkable. I love the look, the good background separation. Again, because if you have a Micro Four Thirds system, you know, sometimes kind of getting that background separation just within any lens is sometimes pretty difficult, even with the 12-35 f2.8. Because the f2.8 is the equivalent of an actual like a f4.8, you really don't get the background separation you're really looking for unless you kind of zoom in, which you can have compression help you out. But with this lens here, if you're just shooting any type of subject, because now you technically at an f3.4 or like an f3.4 equivalent, that's a pretty decent range for a bulk on a full frame camera. So you're still getting that nice background separation with this lens. And I think this lens does that really, really well, especially too when you start to kind of look at the bokeh. Now the bokeh does kind of come off like an a hexagon shape, and I'm assuming because it doesn't have as many blades as like say something like the 42.5 f1.2, but the bokeh still looks really good. You got to keep in mind too, if you're delivering something like this to a client and not like a videographer or somebody who's into cameras like we are, they're not gonna be paying attention to it. Like, hey man, I noticed that your bokeh bars are not as round as the bokeh bars on the other lens that I've seen from other videographers. What's with that? Nobody's gonna do that, fam. You see what I'm saying? So for me, again, at $250, gotta keep that in mind. That's a really important factor here, that price point. At $250, the bokeh bars is as good as you're gonna get, fam. So with that being said, now that we went over price, build quality, sharpness test, and the overall footage of this lens, do I recommend this lens for a Micro Four Thirds owner, whether it's Olympus, GH5, whatever Micro Four Thirds camera that you own? I do recommend it, just not brand new. Get this lens used, save you a couple of, you know what I'm saying, save you a couple of $100 or like 150. Or if you're really gonna get something brand new and your price point is at, you know what I'm saying, that $400 mark, I probably would recommend that you get the 56mm by Sigma f1.4. Now granted, it's gonna be a tighter focal length there because now, you know, you're going from an 85 to around the equivalent of like around 112, but at the same token, Sigma just makes really good glass. And I'm not saying this lens is not a good glass, it's just that there is glass that's better around the same price point of it brand new. Now, but for $250, holla at your boy, let me get this all day, I'll take it. So, if you guys have any other questions, man, or anything other tests that you'd like me to do with this lens, let me know, but I'm pretty much done. The next lens review we'll be using, the next lens review we'll be doing will be the Sigma 16mm f1.4, and you guys are getting an overall look at how that lens look right now, and that's currently on the Panasonic G7. I will say this, that lens, well, this lens is fire, especially for what I paid for. So, other than that, man, stay tuned. If you like the content, go and give it a thumbs up. Definitely helps your boy out. We starting to grow this channel up. This is my second channel, and I really want to get this, you know what I'm saying, I really want to get up to 100 subscribers before the start of June. So let's see if we could do that. We're already at 57. I feel like that's something we could do. It's your boy Sean Brooks, man. I'm out.